Today, we are diving into H.P. Lovecraft's The Nameless City. Now, this is a story that's so much more than just a spooky tale. It's really the seed from which his entire universe of cosmic dread would eventually grow. So, let's get right into it.
You've probably heard this before, right? It's one of the most iconic lines in all of horror fiction. It's this chilling idea that something can exist beyond life and death. Something ancient, impossibly patient, just waiting.
So where did a line like that even come from? You might imagine some huge, ancient, leather-bound book. But the reality is a lot simpler. The very first time this verse appeared was in a short story from 1921, H.P. Lovecraft's The Nameless City.
All right, so the story kicks off with our narrator, who's alone in the Arabian desert. He's not there by accident, though. He's driven by what he calls an instinct for the strange and unknown. Basically, this powerful obsession that makes him ignore every warning to go find a ruin so old that even the local legends are terrified of it.
And right away, Lovecraft just hits you with this incredible, mind-bending sense of age. He says this city was there before the first stones of Memphis, before the bricks of Babylon were even made. It's so ancient, its own name has been completely lost to time.
Just take a second to look at this timeline. I mean, we think of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia as the dawn of civilization, but to the Nameless City, all of our recorded history is just a blip. It's nothing.
So as our guy explores, he finds something that's just wrong. The buildings have these super low ceilings, way too low for a person to stand up in. And this is a classic Lovecraft move. Instead of telling you exactly what something looks like, he just says it has proportions he did not like. He forces your own imagination to fill in the terrifying blanks. Of course, curiosity gets the better of him. He goes deeper into a temple, down into total darkness. His torch goes out, but he doesn't turn back. No, he keeps crawling in the pitch black until he finds it. A huge chamber, and the walls are covered in these vivid, ancient paintings.
And these murals, wow, they're not just decorations. They're basically a history book carved into the rock. They tell the entire story of the city's creators, a civilization that ruled for millions of years, from their glory days as a massive coastal city to their slow, agonizing end as the desert crept in and swallowed everything.
He's watching their entire history play out, their wars, their achievements, their final desperate fight for survival. But then, as he looks a little closer at the figures in the art, he has this chilling realization about who, or what, used to live here. And here it is, the big reveal. The builders of this impossibly old city were not human, not even close. They were a race of crawling reptilian creatures. The murals show them in perfect detail. These bizarre bodies that are kind of like a cross between a crocodile and a seal, with these strange heads with horns and alligator jaws. And suddenly, those low ceilings make a whole lot of terrifying sense. This city was built for things that crawl.
The last murals show the creatures digging their way deep into the earth to escape the dying world above. And just as our narrator is putting all this together, he sees a faint light. He looks past the murals, down into a vast cavern, and he sees them. Not paintings, not fossils. He sees their living descendants, mummified but still moving. The city was never abandoned. The story isn't over.
So this is where the story becomes something much, much bigger. Because The Nameless City isn't just one spooky story about lizard people. It's widely considered to be the very first tale in what would become the Cthulhu mythos, the massive, interconnected universe that really defines Lovecraft's legacy.
Seriously, this little story is ground zero. It's the first time we ever hear about Abdul Alhazred, the Mad Arab. It's the first appearance of that iconic couplet we started with, and while the book itself isn't named yet, this is where we're introduced to the poet, who, as we later find out, is the author of the dreaded Necronomicon.
This story basically created the formula that Lovecraft would use over and over again. You've got the curious explorer checking out forbidden ruins. They find some kind of art that reveals a shocking, non-human history. Then comes the horrifying discovery that those non-human things are still around. And finally, the explorer escapes, but their mind is completely broken. This is the exact blueprint he'd perfect later in his masterpiece, At the Mountains of Madness.
But here's the thing. The reptilian creatures aren't the real horror of the story. The true terror is philosophical. It's the absolutely devastating truth that the narrator uncovers about where humanity actually fits into the grand scheme of things.
And this gets to the very core of Lovecraft's whole worldview, which we call Cosmicism. The idea is really simple, but it's terrifying.
Humanity is not special. We are a cosmic accident, a temporary blip in a universe that is so ancient and so vast that it is completely, totally indifferent to us.
And that's what makes cosmic horror so different from traditional horror, right? Traditional horror is usually about a fear of the monster. It's a threat to your life. But cosmic horror is about the fear of a truth. It's a threat to your sanity, to your entire worldview, the idea that humanity itself is completely irrelevant.
And that's why Lovecraft's horror feels so personal, so psychological. It's not about watching someone get chased by a monster. It's about being right there inside their head as their sanity just crumbles, as they're forced to face a truth that is simply too big and too terrible for a human mind to handle.
I mean, you can hear it in the narrator's own words as he flees the city. He's desperately trying to describe something that exists so far outside of human experience that we don't even have words for it. The ultimate horror is realizing that our reality, our history, our sense of self, it's all just a fragile story we tell ourselves.
And that's the unsettling question the story leaves us with. You know, if a civilization that ruled for millions of years can be so completely erased that its very name is forgotten, what does that say about us? What other colossal, monstrous truths are just lying buried under the sands of our time, waiting to be found?